Yo.
You know, it struck out everywhere.
Hold on, let me turn this on off. Okay. All right, so here we go. First thing I notice is that when t equals 0, it is the furthest from the wall at 140. And then when t equals 3, it is closest to the wall at d equals 20. The person who put that in the chat, hang around the end of the period and we can talk. All right, so first thing I want to do, I only need the first quadrant in this graph. It's down a little bit more. All right, so at 0, we're up here at 120. 140, sorry, I don't know why I said 120. After 3 seconds, we are down at 20. And then at 6 seconds, I don't know why, I could have made space those out a little bit. That was not much bigger. 20, 140. And then after 6 seconds, we are back at 140. So here is our function. Go ahead and write the equation. All right, I'm going to make some notes for you on the side for those of you who are struggling. And when I'm done making those notes, I'm going to start pulling cards. All right, so Pirate, Lego Man, and I welcome you to class today. Let's take a look at what we have got. Not here. Jack G, pick one of these letters. Jack, I can see you're unmuted, but I can't hear you. Jess, pick one of these letters.
A.
A. All right, what's the amplitude? What's the maximum Y value?
140.
All right, what's the minimum Y value?
3.
Try. That's the next value, kiddo. What's the minimum Y value?
20.
20. All right. What's 140 minus 20?
It's 120.
All right, and then 120 divided by 2 is?
60.
All right, so there's our amplitude. All right, Jack, let's see if it works now.
Hello.
Hey, there we go. Jack, what do you want to find for us? You want to do B, C,
I'll
or D?
find the midline.
All right, sir. Hit it. What's the maximum?
The maximum is 140.
Minimum?
20.
Add them up.
160.
Divided by 2.
80.
There you go. All right, so we have a midline here at 80. We know the amplitude is 60. The only thing we need left is the period, the phase shift, and we need to know if we're going to make this a sine or a cosine function. So Jake R, pick something. B, C, or function type.
We do B.
All right, B. What is the period?
Period is 6.
Period is 6. Jake looked top to top. He saw it was 6. And so 2 pi divided by 6 reduces to what?
Pi over 3.
Pi over 3. Good work. All right. So all we need is the phase shift and the function type. Ken, do you have the phase shift or the function type?
Yeah.
What you got?
Well, I didn't think there was a phase shift.
Me neither, because what kind of function does this look like right on the y-axis?
Cosine?
Cosine, a positive cosine. So now we're going to put it all together. Yeah, put it all together for us. Y equals, what's the amplitude?
60.
All right, so we got 60, and it's going to be positive because Ken just told us it was positive. 60 cos, what's B?
0 or pi over 3.
All right, pi over 3. Now C is 0, so I can just put X. I don't need parentheses here. And then what's D?
80.
80. Are there absolutely any questions on where we got this equation? The person who asked where this is in the packet, we're towards the end. I don't know what page it is. 70 something. Their pages are not numbered quite correctly anyway. It says 74, but I don't think it's actually 74. And they're not in order. So
It is 74.
I know, but then like after that, it says like 71. So I don't know what to tell you, Kente. Like This is what happens when we don't have access. You know that you can put something in the copier and you can tell it to stamp numbers on it, and it will number the pages for you. So I don't know what happened here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what is the distance of the ball from the wall at t equals 4 seconds? I know Miss Weiss did something fancy on the Desmos calculator in the video you watched yesterday or the day before, probably Tuesday. But I'm not a fancy person. I am going to use the Desmos calculator. I'm not going to use the graphing calculator. I'm going to use the scientific calculator. So can I just get a thumbs up? I can see the Desmos calculator. All right. So I'm just going to straight type what I'm trying to evaluate. So I'm trying to evaluate here 60 cosine, and this is desmos.com/scientific. Parentheses, and then I just type pi divided by 3, arrow out, and I want to know at, I think 11 it said. 11? 4, I'm totally wrong. 4. And then plus 80. Boom. 50. Please, 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 if you're going to use the Desmos scientific calculator, though, I've had this up all day, you got to switch it to radians. So make a little note here, like Desmos scientific calculator, switch to radians. You could really easily type this on your TI also. It would not be hard. Move it over there, Pirate Man. All right, so we've got 50 exactly. Centimeters? I feel like it's centimeters, but I could be wrong. Centimeters? Centimeters. So again, I'm going to make a little note to myself. I'm going to use those scientific. Make sure I switch it to radians. If I'm using my TI, I want to make sure that's in radians also. Are there any questions on letter C? Bravely out loud, privately in the chat. Okay. Letter D says, what is the value of T the first time the ball is 50 meters from the wall? Now, I think it might be 4 because we just got 50 at 4 seconds, but I could be wrong on that. This is how we're going to do it. We are going to put both of these equations in Desmos Graphing. Actually, it's like just as Desmos Calculator. And I think that one defaults to radians. I don't know. I've never had to switch it. It seems to work just fine. So here we go. Desmos.com/calculator. Go ahead and pop a window open. And just do me a favor and give me the people who have their camera on. Let me know if you need more time or your thumbs up. Pi divided by 3 x. All right, now I've been playing around with my calculator all day, but if you are just starting, yours looks like this. People who have cameras on, can you tell me when you just have that stuff typed in and I'll show you what to do? All right, so one thing you can do, aside from obviously just making this bigger, that doesn't really help, is you can zoom out with the wheel on your mouse, or, just, pinch it out. And if you do that enough, you can start to see there's the bottom of the graph at 20. And then if I drag it, there's my line that I graphed at y equals 50. And what I want to do, I'm just going to pull it out for a little bit. Like, this is really kind of painful on the eyes. If you are like really a picky person, what you can do, you can change your graph settings. Like, I need it to be really high, but I don't need it really wide. There, that looks pretty good. Okay. And you can do that again. That's the little wrench setting. You can go change your graph settings if you want, or if you like, your eyes can handle it, you can just kind of figure it out. But this is why I really like Desmos. If I'm looking for the first 2 times this graph is at 50, oh wait, one of them was 4, but one of them is right here at 2. And if you're not sure, if I click and that dot turns black, there it is. The black dots are intersections. So I think, Juanita, are you talking about the scientific or the graphing? Like the one I'm on right now or the other one? Okay, so I think the graphing, desmos.com/calculator, I think its default is radians because I've never had to change it. It's always already in radians when I'm working with it. And I don't think it's saving anything because it always says untitled graph. And then it yells at me when I close it out, like, do you want to save? I'm like, no, I do not want to save. So I think this one defaults. The scientific one, you see this little slider, degrees, right? See when it says RAD, that's radians. So for this one, if like, this is just like your regular little middle schooly calculator, but I like it. Okay. Miss Weiss in the video, okay, like so on a TI, like on these guys, you go to mode. Here. So you can see my calculator shouts in degrees. I'm going to go down and highlight radians. But I'll be straight with you. I would not use this clunky thing for this. I mean, look at that, guys. You just click and it tells you the points. It's so fancy. Isn't it fancy, Juanita? Say yes. Yeah, I like this. Like I like the Desmos calculator for finding intersections because you can just like it. Like now you gotta be careful because if it's like a green dot, that's not gonna work. But when it turns black, that means it's an intersection point. And you could just sit here and click. And on the TI, you would have to sit there and be like second, trace, intersect, and no one's got time for that. So the 2 answers are: when is it first 50? It's at 2 and 4. This is seconds. Seconds? Yes, seconds. Are there any questions on this pendulum problem? Bravely out loud, privately in the chat. All right, our goal today is to do 2 more of these application type problems. Want to go over a couple announcements because, you know, a lot of changes, they are happening. First off, it's a review day. We're going to review what you did asynchronously Tuesday, Wednesday, so there is no homework to be collected. However, I highly recommend that you finish anything that we don't finish and check it in Drive. There is no quiz this weekend because we have a quest next Thursday. Okay, this module will lock on the 24th. Many of you have done an absolutely outstanding job keeping up with the work, and I really applaud you because it's not easy, so good work. If you owe me work, this is where I try to find my inner peace. You have to do it. If you don't have it done by the 24th, you and I are going to have a conversation about what I need to unlock. And please remember that I will not unlock for reassessments. I will not unlock homework for full credit. It will be quizzes for the first try only. It will be homework for half, as it's been all semester. Look at a calendar. Next Thursday is the 18th. Giving you until the 24th to hand in any late work covers those of you who have extended time. So please remember that when you are planning out any makeup work you owe me. reminder, next week, we switch schedules. I want everyone to really dig in here. If you need to take a screenshot, hold on. Here's where the schedule changes. In the morning, Tuesday morning, Friday morning. That's going to be math help time. Like, who goes in for PE? I mean, come on. No one's going in for PE help. Maybe. I don't know. Do you guys go in for PE help? Like, what would, I don't even know. I don't even know. Maybe if you owe somebody work, you go in. All right. That's going to be from 8 to 8:45. And then our day will still start at 9 o'clock, which is kind of nice. However, please make a note that lunch is going to be over 10 minutes earlier. You still got an hour, 5 minutes, but we're going to end lunch at 12:20. And at 12:20 sharp, you need to be in your 3rd or 7th period. So these afternoon times change so that the people who are in the building will make bus dismissal. Everyone, please, with your phone, take your phone and take a picture like this, okay? Because otherwise, someone is going to try to join the Zoom at the wrong time on Wednesday, or it's just going to be a sad situation. Please take a picture with your camera right now. Are there any burning questions on the school-wide schedule change or the end of unit information I have presented? Speak now or forever hold your peace. This starts on Monday, so it's like soon. I had to print out all new schedules for everybody. Mom is available here. Mom is not available here. Go bother dad. All right, this starts on Monday. Are there any other questions? If you are going back, you have to be there by 9 o'clock. Class starts at 9. I believe there is a significant amount of paperwork you have to do every day to get back into the building. You should have watched the video so you're aware of what you need to do. I don't believe you have to show up at 7:45, but if you stroll on in at 8:55, you are going to be late to first period. And yeah. Any other questions? If you're going back, you also should have received a card in the mail with some significant instructions. Okay. This is what we're going to do today. We are going to do 2 more problems that are application problems. We're going to do 1 Ferris wheel and we're going to do 1 tide. So go ahead, read number 2. It's on the next page. And sketch a graph. After you sketch your graph, go ahead and work on letter A and click done when you're done, or type to me done when you're done. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we should have points at 90 at 4 seconds. Ooh, Ash has got it. And 8 is at 10 seconds. And what most of you realize is that the distance between 4 and 8, the distance between the maximum and the minimum was 4 units, and the distance between 0 and 4 is 4. So obviously this has to be 0. And 2 people at the very beginning, then more people got it, realized if I'm going to write this with no phase shift, it needs to be a negative cosine. So good work, people who made this a negative cosine. A lot of people came up with A is 40. A lot of people came up with D is 50. And a lot of people found the B value by saying 2 pi divided by 8 becomes pi over 4. What separated the good answers from the amazing answers was that we've got 40 with a negative sign because we're writing it as a negative cosine. But then we had that's an ugly 4. We had someone who was like, okay, well, when I look at this, I kind of see this as a cosine function. And they wrote it y equals 40 cosine pi over 4 x minus 4 plus 50. And that is perfect. Also, just don't forget your parentheses around the x minus 4 person. Okie dokie. Thank you to those of you who sent me equations for the, why is it negative cosine person? Because it starts, let me switch colors. It starts here at a minimum. Oh, that's a little bright. Red. When I'm on the y-axis, it starts on a minimum. Remember, negative cosine starts at the minimum and goes like this versus positive cosine, which starts at the top and comes down. Does that, oh. Yes, the pink is correct also. You could have the blue, you could have the pink. I mean, honestly, you also could be like, well, I know that here it's 2 because half of 0 and 4, and you could write it as a sine function. Yes, I can explain it again. The pink is correct also because the pink starts at a maximum. And so that person was like, well, at a maximum, I have a positive cosine. So they wrote it with a phase shift because they kind of saw that as the starting point. If the starting point is not on the y-axis, we need a phase shift. You good? Okay. Any other questions on the equations? All right, so my friend who wrote the pink one, I'm going to probably use the blue one because it's just less typing in my calculator, but you can use the pink one and it's fantastical. So we need to find out the height at 10.5 seconds. So I'm going to pick up, you know, I should not write that in pink. I'm going to pick up my Desmos scientific calculator and I'm just going to type in where are you, little friend? There you are, except you're the wrong one. We want you. So again, remember, person who asked, make sure you're on radians, and we're going to go negative 40 cos. Love that you type in pi and it turns into pi. It's so fantastic. You tell math teacher wrote this program. Boom. Now this one's weird decimal, so I have to be very careful about how I write it down. I want to give my answer to 3 decimal places, so I'm going to go 65.307. Are we camera on, friends? Are we thumbs up on 65.307? All right, thanks, Kent. I appreciate that. All right, so again, now if I'm looking for when is the height, like if I'm looking for a y value, I'm going to need to graph my 2 equations. I'm going to need to graph negative 40 cosine pi over 4x plus 50. And I need to graph I just need to graph y equals 75 on the same screen. Is anyone really in love with their graphing calculator and that you need me to show you why you need to break up with your graphing calculator for this and use Desmos? Okay, because I can. It'll take me like 2 seconds. All right. Go ahead, grab Desmos, type them in, find where they intersect, send me the first 2 times. go ahead, find those two values and send them to me. I'm gonna pause this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so your graphs should look, let me pull them over off the other screen. And it's kind of nice because I already had the window set up nice. I mean, that was my last window and it kind of looks good. And remember, you can change the window from the scroll by hitting this little wrench. So here, if I click and I click, those are my two values and I want to use the X values. So the people who are not getting those values, here is my recommendation. First off, double check you've typed this incorrectly. The most common mistake is that the X ends up in the denominator. Make sure your 50 is outside your parentheses. So my couple friends, I have two friends. Oh, the pie. All right, so I got one person fixed. The other person, did you find it? Oh, poops. Okay, so let's double check. Yeah, I can show how I got, so if I hit home, I get this terrible graph. So I typed in negative y equals negative 40 cosine. I'll type them in again. Let's type them together. Y equals negative 40 cos parentheses pi divided by 4. And then I arrow to the right so I'm not in that denominator, and then I put the X in. And then I go plus 50. Then for the second one, I'm just going to go y equals 75. Now, I am going to play around with my graph. Oh, there it is. And I can pull it out with the wheel, remember? And that's just like freaking terrible to look at. So what I'm going to do, I see the little wrench. I'm going to click the little wrench. Click the wrench. I don't need all these negative values because I just do not. So I'm going to get rid of them. And I really don't need to go to 141. Probably 20 is good. Oh, but it wants a negative 0 there. That's good. That's better. And then I can kind of pick it up and drag it so I can see it nicer. I basically just I cut off the parts of the graph I don't want. And then I should be able to just hit those two black intersection points perfectly. So 2 point. Is it okay now though? Like, did you start it over? Your line looks longer. Like the blue line? I mean, that could just be the window. But like the equation should be typed like this. Like your graph can look different, but it'll still give, like, look, if I'm home, look, watch. If I don't change the graph and I just use this terrible looking graph, holy cow. I still hit those 2 points. You just have to make sure you're clicking the ones that where they turn black. Because if you just click it and it's not black, that's not an intersection. All right, we've got 2.86, 5.14. How do I change window? I'll show you again. Hold on. Seconds. So to change the window, remember, I go to the little wrench. I hit the wrench. And then I have to make some decisions. Like, I don't need these negative values because I don't. So I'm going to just make it 0. And I'm going to make the y-axis 0 also. Because I don't need any negative values. Like, that would be ridiculous. So that's a little better. And now I still have too much x-axis I can see. So instead of going all the way to 83, I only need to go to, like, let's just hit half that, 40. Oh, that's better. And then at that point, oh, there's how you do the radians and degrees. We were wondering about that. At this point, like, you can pick it up and kind of drag it around. to look at the parts you want and then click boop, boop. All right, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead, if you haven't already, go ahead and start number 3 because we're almost out of time and I want to make sure we get that done. Oh, cancel. So midnight is 0. We have a depth of 3 feet. Low tide. Then high tide occurs at 5:30 a.m. and high tide is 8 meters. So I have to think from this low tide to this high tide was 5.5 hours. So that means if I go another 5.5 hours on the other side, what time is it right here? It's 11 a.m. Because 5.5 hours makes 11 a.m. Oh, hold up a second. All right, so hopefully you got the equation, negative 2.5 cosine 2 pi over 11 x plus 5.5. I'm going to be honest with you, letter C is a ridiculous question because that's low tide. So I think that has a typo. You can dock anytime, like if low tide is 3 feet, then duh. If you are good on the equation for 3B and you have no questions, you are free to unmute yourself and say goodbye. If you have any questions or you want to stick around and finish just jotting something down for number 3, you are free to do so.